The Boston Bruins survived the Avalanche on Saturday thanks in part to an astonishing 34 shots on goal. And that's the kind of effort they're going to need if they want to win on a consistent basis.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked B. Today is Monday, October 27th. Thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins your first listen every day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and we're going to be breaking down a big win over Colorado on Saturday. The storylines, the stats, and the significance of this win. 34 block shots, a full team effort, and the Bruins remained calm, composed throughout, according to head coach Marco Stern, which was a key. And they now will take on the Senators in Ottawa tonight. Our old friend Linus Ullmark looking to not allow the Bruins winning streak to grow beyond one. We'll preview that one later on in the podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Before we get into the game over Colorado and what it means for the Bruins at this point in the season, quick reminder, you can find the podcast on socials at Locked NHL Bruins. On Blue Sky, X, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and you can find me, my hockey thoughts and dad jokes at Ian C. McLaren. I am a lifelong Boston Bruins fan, and I've been covering this team for various outlets for nearly 20 years now. And the Boston Bruins were mired in a 6-game losing streak heading into Saturday afternoon's tilt with a very good Colorado Avalanche team. And they were able to come out of it with a 3-2 victory. One goal by the Avs was scored late with the goalie pulled. But the Bruins put in one of their best efforts of the season so far. And Marco Stern, the head coach, said he felt like the bench was really calm, even in the third period. No panic. The guys handled it really well the second half of the game. And, of course, Jeremy Swayman said it feels good to beat one of the top teams in the league, to get it done at home. Shows the resilience we have in this locker room. Swayman made 31 saves, saying it's something that this team can build on. Still early in the year, and a lot can happen. And that's their mindset moving forward. Now with a 4-6 record through 10 games. Not exactly stellar, not enough to get them in the playoff conversation, but it's a step in the right direction. And one of the big stories for me in this game was the Bruins blocking 34 shots to help out Jeremy Swayman with one of his better games of the season. The Colorado Avalanche, on the other hand, only had 7. The Bruins had clear buy-in. They were all looking to end this losing streak. And that helps Swayman be at the top of his game. And Swayman says, guys out there blocking shots, it's the best thing ever. Momentum shifter in a game. Guys are selling out, not getting out of position, sacrificing their body for the greater good of the team. And that's important. And he said he was really thankful to have those guys in front of him. And along those lines, my Bruin of the day is going to Victor Arvidsson. Not only did he score his first goal as a member of the Boston Bruins, but he was out there blocking a shot in the third period, going all out to help this team get their first win of the season. Arvidsson, for me, has been somewhat underwhelming. I wouldn't say high on the acquisition, but I was fairly confident he'd be able to at least help the offense. So far, mixed results. He hasn't had the greatest start with this team, perhaps a step behind, But to get that goal, even if it was a bank in from behind, and also to be out there in the later moments, sacrificing the body and getting that block shot to basically kick the puck out of play and erase a scoring chance for Colorado, that's huge. And that is something that you don't expect from, mostly a scoring winger like a guy like Victor Arvidsson. That's why he's today's Bruin of the day. He had that goal. He had 3 shots on net as well to go with 3 blocks and 3 hits. So a very big game for Arvidsson all around the ice, throwing the body, laying the body out to get some shot blocks and scoring his first goal as a member of the Boston Bruins. Huge effort overall for him. Morgan Geekie also had a big game. He had an amazing effort near the end of the second period. 5 seconds remaining. David Pastrnak dumped the puck into the offensive zone. Geekie scooped it up from the boards, snuck it behind Scott Wedgwood for a 3-1 boost heading into the third. Geekie's 6th goal of the season, which now leads the team and is 4th in 3 games. He's been red hot as of late, and he said his dad would be proud of that one. The perfect storm. It wasn't unlike that overtime goal against the Toronto Maple Leafs a couple years ago where Pastrnak banked it off the boards. Lindholm scooped it up. It was Lindholm who put it in. Pastrnak scooped it up, and then he scored. Same kind of play here where Geekie got the puck behind the net, circled around, got Wedgwood going the other way, and huge effort for him to be able to get that goal towards the end of the second period to give the Bruins a 3-1 lead, which they would not relinquish. Mason Lohrei picked up the secondary assist on that play. He had 3 assists in this game, skating on the second pair with Andrew Peeke. And he's now got 4 points in 2 games after getting called out by the coach and people calling for him to be a healthy scratch. He said, obviously, it's an effort from everybody. We get the 2 points. That's the biggest thing. Every day is a new day. You go out there. He knows what's expected and what he expects of himself. The Bruins will now take on the Ottawa Senators tonight in Canada's capital. A lot of Canada will be watching the World Series game between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. The Bruins will be looking to boost their win streak to 2, a modest 2. That's the first of a back-to-back. We'll preview that one later on in the podcast, but coming up, we'll take a look at some of the stats from Saturday's game, as well as the significance of this win. We'll touch on that here as the podcast continues. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed part of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next bucket to fourth quarter comebacks. You can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Thanks again for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine. Everydayers know that the best way to keep up on things is to subscribe on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. You can also follow along on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky, as well as X. So the Bruins did indeed beat the Colorado Avalanche, but they were kind of wildly outplayed when it comes to the overall underlying numbers. I mentioned the 31 saves by Jeremy Swayman, the 34 blocked shots. That means the Avs had the puck quite a fair bit and were making the majority of the shot attempts in this game. At 5-on-5, Colorado had 71% of the shot attempts, 68 attempts compared to only 28 for the Bruins. It's a smaller disparity when it comes to all situations, but still 67.2% of the shot attempts. Neither team scored on the power play. The Bruins went 0 for 4. The Avs went 0 for 3. So that kind of evened things out. The fact that the Bruins had one more power play than the Avs, but majority of the game, 44 minutes, 40 seconds, was played 5-on-5. And in that time, Colorado had 71% of the shot attempts and 64% of the shots on goal. Furthermore, they had 70.45% of the scoring chances. Colorado with 31 scoring chances, the Bruins with only 13. And when it comes to high danger chances, 15 for the Avs compared to only 4 for the Bruins. That's a 79% advantage for Colorado. Expected goals in this one were 3 to 1.6. Actual goals 5-on-5 were 3 for the Bruins and 1 for the Avs. So all the numbers suggested that Colorado dominated this game possession-wise. They had the puck much more often than the Boston Bruins, and they were chucking them towards the net. Swayman was huge. He had one of his better games of the season. Second goal came on a deflection with a extra man out for Colorado. The Bruins were out there blocking shots as much as they could. Not one Bruins player at 5-on-5 was on the ice for more attempts for than against. The closest player was Pavel Zacha. He was out for 10 shot attempts for the Bruins, 12 against, 45.45% advantage there. Elias Lindholm, David Pastrnak, they were on the ice for 6 attempts for and about 27, 26 against for 18% shot attempt differential when they were out on the ice. Even Morgan Geekie, who scored that goal, was only 25%. So the Bruins didn't so much win this game as they withstood the Avalanche attack and really survived what was a snowballing situation here for Colorado. They were rolling. They probably deserved to win this game. But again, Jeremy Swayman stood tall with a .939 save percentage, and the Bruins were out there just blocking shots like crazy. Lindholm led the way with 6 block shots up front, and Andrew Peeke had 5 on the blue line. All 6 defensemen had at least 1 block shot, and only Casey Middlestat, Pavel Zacha, and Sean Corrali up front failed to record a blocked shot in this one. A full team effort, and kudos as well, again, to Victor Arvidsson for getting a goal. Mikey Eyssimont from Tanner Jeannot with the beauty just 30-something seconds after Arvidsson's goal. And Geekie with that huge insurance goal at the end of the second period to help the Bruins seal it. But make no mistake, it was not a convincing win for the Bruins. It was not a necessarily encouraging win when you look at the underlying numbers, but it was a win. The team remained calm, and they were doing everything they could to preserve that lead. The Bruins do, however, still sit at the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings. They have a 400 point percentage, 8 points through 10 games. They're tied in points with a very disappointing Tampa Bay Lightning team, although they've won 2 in a row and they have a worse point percentage. Goal differential, they're at -3. Only tonight's opponent, the Ottawa Senators, have a worse goal differential, and that's after they won like 7-1 the other day against the Washington Capitals. And there'll be a big test tonight for the Bruins. We'll touch on that later on in the show. We'll also update the Atlantic Division power rankings tomorrow, but the Bruins, again, a big win. They needed it to stop the bleeding from this 6-game losing streak, but they'll need to keep things well rolling because it's not an easy week ahead. They will be playing a New York Islanders team that has a winning record, 4-3-1. That's after tonight's game against Ottawa. Then they'll take on the Buffalo Sabres, who actually sit 4th in the Atlantic, tied with Ottawa and Toronto. And then on Saturday, they will take on the Carolina Hurricanes, who will obviously not be an easy matchup for this team. So the win over Colorado was super needed and encouraging. It was great to see the Bruins, again, staying calm, putting their bodies on the line for this win. Victor Arvidsson, again, our Bruin of the day, said it was a huge relief. He's been all over it, shooting it a lot. Nice to see it finally go in. His line, he thought, has been playing creatively and getting their opportunities. Just hadn't been him who had the last touch. And it was nice for it to finally go in for him. His first goal of the season as a member of the Boston Bruins, despite, getting some good amount of pucks on net. Arvidsson so far this season has, let's see here, 21 shots through 10 games. So he's averaging more than 1 shot per game, 4.8 shooting percentage, just not getting the same amount of luck as, say, a guy like Morgan Geekie, who has 6 goals on, let's see how many shots he's got here so far. 6 goals on 19 shots, which is a 31.6% shooting percentage. We talked a lot about how he had 33 goals last year on 150 shots, 22%. His career average is 15.3. So he's shooting, twice that right now. So we can expect him to regress a bit. Hopefully he can get the shot volume up in order to kind of balance that out. At any rate, huge wins for the Boston Bruins. They're going to take on Linus Ullmark and the Ottawa Senators coming up here tonight. And that's a game we'll preview here as the podcast continues. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. And that's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I used Game Time this past summer to grab seats for a baseball game, and it couldn't have been simpler. I had great seats in minutes, no hidden fees at checkout, and their in-app seat view feature allows you to get a look at your view before you arrive at the venue. Their zone deals are also a game changer. Pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying hockey tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off Game time. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right, just looking at the old X machine, and it looks as though Linus Ullmark may be getting the day off here as the Bruins and Senators get set to square off in Ottawa this evening. The Senators announced the recall of Hunter Shepard from the AHL, and Julian McKenzie of The Athletic says we'll see what head coach Travis Green says, but looks like Linus Ullmark getting a rest day today. Not sure if that's related to his involvement in a kind of line brawl that took place between the Capitals and the Senators the other day. Ullmark skating from the other end of the ice, dropping the blocker and trapper, and getting involved in that scrap. It's too bad because it would have been cool to see a Swayman Ullmark matchup, or maybe the Bruins go with a potential Joonas Korpisalo revenge game, as he, of course, was a former Senator, both of those guys being swapped a couple of summers ago. Ottawa's coming into this game with a 4-4-1 record. They're coming off 2 straight wins against Philadelphia and against Washington. They are, of course, missing Brady Tkachuk, who had surgery, I believe, on a thumb or wrist, but they're led in scoring by Shane Pinto, who's got 8 goals so far this season. Dylan Cousins has 6 goals, 3 assists. Both of these guys I had on my keeper fantasy team last year. No longer. Unfortunate. Tim Stützle, Drake Batherson, Claude Giroux, David Perron, also dangerous for this team up front. Artem Zub and Jake Sanderson, both with 6 points from the blue line. Thomas Chabot with 5. Jordan Spence, who they acquired from the Los Angeles Kings for a 3rd rounder among, it might have been a couple picks. He's got 4 points in 4 games, but for some reason, they are not deploying him, keeping him out of the lineup. So that could be a bonus for the Bruins as they're going bigger on the blue line with Mantipalo and Nick Jensen. So far this season, Ullmark's got a record of 4-3-1 with an .870 save percentage. His backup, Levi Merilainen, 0-1-0 with a .731 save percentage, .723 goals against average. Not as good as Korpisalo, who's got .403 goals against average, .845 save percentage. They might want to give Swayman a bit of a rest, seeing as he played last night, and they will be in action once again tomorrow night. It's the first of 4 meetings between these two teams. They actually play again on the 6th of November and the 13th of November, so they'll get a good chunk of these games without Brady Tkachuk in the lineup, and then they play again December 21st. Senators have a pretty effective power play so far this season, 6th ranked at 28.1% success rate. The Bruins are 19th, 19.4. There's a big disparity, though, in the penalty kill rate for these two teams. Ottawa, very vulnerable when down a man. They're killing only 64.5% of opposition's power play opportunities, which ranks them 30th in the NHL. The Bruins, very strong so far, 8th ranked, 87.2%. Faceoffs are going to be key in this one. The Bruins have an excellent faceoff group. They rank 2nd at 56.2%. However, Ottawa, 1st, 59.8% success rate in the faceoff circle. And they have a bunch of guys who can kill you at the dot. Tim Stützle, 67.5%. Claude Giroux, 67.2%. Dylan Cousins, 58.3%. Shane Pinto, 56.6%. Their only guy who's been forced to take a face-off who is under 50% is Nick Cousins. He's probably only had like 3 and he's lost 1. So that's something to watch out for tonight, certainly. The Senators scoring 3.33 goals per game. That's good for 10th in the NHL. The Bruins are 15th at 3.2. Ottawa, though, allowing 3.89 goals per game, which is down in 29th. The Bruins a bit better, 3.5 goals per game, 25th. So if Ullmark is not able to play tonight and they go with Levi Merilainen, that's obviously a bonus for the Boston Bruins because you knew Ullmark would be up for this game. It could be Korpisalo versus Merilainen, or maybe they go with Swayman tonight, Korpisalo tomorrow night. But either way, the Bruins should have an advantage in net if it's Merilainen because he has not been off to a great start at all tonight. We will look for lineup notes for tonight's game. We'll see if there's any changes made. John Beecher was in the lineup on Saturday with Sean Corrali, Mark Kostelic on the fourth line, Jeannot with Minton and Esimont on the third line. There were no changes up on the second and first lines. Although Pavel Zacha, Casey Middlestat have been in the news as of late with reports that they're drawing interest from teams around the league. Pavel Zacha specifically being linked to the Vancouver Canucks. He is under contract for this season and next at a very reasonable $4.75 million. He's been one of Boston's best players so far this season, so I would be reluctant to trade him unless they are blown away with a package. And perhaps that's something we'll discuss later on this week if there's still some smoke to this. Reminder, if you're in Canada tonight, this game is on Prime, one of those Monday night Prime exclusives. So you'll need that if you want to watch this game. And that's it. Hopefully they can keep it rolling tonight against an Ottawa Senators team that has been pretty good as of late. Not a super hot start, especially without their captain, but obviously a team that can beat you in many different ways. And they are one of the better possession teams so far this season, 55.14 shot attempt differential. They just haven't been able to score as much 5-on-5. So the Bruins will need to have that full team effort tonight, once again, blocking shots and getting scoring from all over the place. Anyways, that is it for today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. Everydayers, I appreciate you so much. Become one by subscribing on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Please do take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow as we'll recap tonight's game, preview tomorrow night's game, and bring you all the latest on the Boston Bruins here on Locked On Boston Bruins, your favorite team every single day.